MotoGP World Championship begins its Sunday morning races. Welcome to the Lusail International Circuit here in Doha, Qatar for the 10-minute warm-up session. Let's join straight into the action and join our commentators over at TNT Sports.
Yeah. And I always felt that with Valentino and Max. It was a bit like Max on his days.
Great example.
Just loved it perfect, didn't he? Whereas Valentino would ride around.
I tell you, I mentioned teammates yesterday, but I had lots of different teammates, and it's funny, you learn with your teammates. Carl Fogarty could ride round anything. Troy Bayliss could ride round a bike that wasn't set up and just grab it by the scruff of the neck. I needed a bike that was set up well. It's funny, isn't it? I found it much more difficult. So yeah, I could understand what the riders are feeling.
Frankie had a good ride, didn't he? He was chased down at the end. I tell you what, Fermin Aldeguer and Fabio Quartararo kept him honest, but brought it home for just his second sprint podium. So kudos to Frankie. He's got a job on though. He's need to find some tyre life today because all of them are going to be using the same tyres. Well, all of them, I say. The front lot are going to be using the same tyres they did yesterday, and Frankie's times were dropping.
Yeah, they were dropping at the end, and you can see the VR46. So his teammate Fabio Di Gianantonio, he had some real pace. Fermin Aldeguer had some incredible pace as well. He was so entertaining. I'll tell you what, the rookies this year have lit up MotoGP. Watching Ayagura yesterday was impressive. He has no respect, and I mean that as a compliment. He doesn't hesitate. As soon as he gets behind a rider, he'll make a pass. Super aggressive. As was Aldeguer.
Very quickly, Bagnaia passed Vinales there, but Vinales was a little bit wide through that final corner. But Bagnaia, he's got to practice this kind of thing, I suppose, now in warm-up. He's getting past people. He starts down on the fourth row of the grid, let's not forget, after crashing in qualifying.
So it's a really good point, what you've made there. One of the things that riders do, you can ride throughout the weekend, and a lot of times you spend a lot of laps on your own. One of the beauties of morning warm-up, I used to do it quite a lot. I'd try and go out in a group just to get used to passing people, what it feels like. And I know obviously the track conditions are completely different because it's daylight and the track's much hotter, but you still get the sensation of what it feels like to outbrake someone, dive up the inside.
There's interesting factors will come into play later on this evening, and that will be around. Bagnaia's got the soft tyre in the rear of his bike, which I find interesting. Getting it, obviously, just in terms of allocation, it must be
that.
Yeah, in terms of the soft tyre dropped off a cliff last night. There is no way anyone is running a soft tyre today. Absolutely zero chance, unless something goes wrong with the tyres they've got.
Now you've said that, you just know that Maverick's going to turn up.
I'm just thinking about it then. I was like, okay,
Maverick got soft in the rear. You just know it, don't you?
But there's no way.
I agree.
There's no way. I mean, Zarco had to pull in to the pits because there was that much vibration from it. But vibration's the thing Mark's had, hasn't he?
Yeah.
This weekend, and I think that must be something in those early laps. And he says this track in particular, with the grip that it offers, and it's got better the grip throughout the racing weekend. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on, isn't it? Vibrations.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily chatter that we're talking about here, but it's not just the KTMs who have it worse than everyone. I think the Honda was having, everyone's got it, even Marc Marquez.
Even Marc Marquez, yeah. This track, I remember at the start of last year, the pre-season test, everyone, all riders complaining about the chatter, and it's appeared again here, hasn't it?
Is that because the grip's good?
Yeah, and the surface is unusual. I mentioned this before, but it's billiard table smooth. There's not a ripple in it. And it's also, when you look at the tarmac, it's really smooth. It's not, let's say they're not big stones. It's like it's tight. The bitumen there's like a lot of that. It's like it's almost like all bitumen. Incredible. So then, yeah, that's offering a lot of grip on the racing line. So what's interesting, I'm going to have to say, the only weak point of Mark so far are those opening laps. Don't get me wrong, he's still led the majority of them, but he looks like he's not as fast as his brother. But then once he gets those first 2 or 3 laps under his belt, he then gets into a bit of a rhythm. The tyre drops, the grip level drops, and then he can attack.
Yeah, so if you're Michele Mazzini down there and you're talking to Alex before the start of the race, that it's get stuck in while you can in those early laps before he's imposing his rhythm. 100%. And even Alex said that himself. He said he is stronger than me on used tyres. He is going to be, and so everyone knows the story. And yesterday, maybe he did have a bit of an opportunity. We just saw Joan Mir, good to see him back out there. Gastroenteritis for him yesterday. he has looked under the weather all weekend, actually. Started well on Friday and then gradually got worse. Jack Miller was another one who's not felt the greatest this weekend. So we'll just keep an eye on it, because it's punishing in these kinds of conditions.
In these kinds of conditions, by the evening it's okay. And as far as physicality goes, this is one of the better tracks. It's a little bit easier. You've got the heavy braking into turn one, that's physical, but you've not got a lot of change of directions. It's generally one long flowing corner into the next, so it's quite an easy circuit, is this.
There's Pedro Acosta. Worrying at the moment, I think, KTM's plight. It feels like they need something dramatically to change. Are they in a position to do that?
Yeah, is the question. They have. What's clear is all the modifications for the 2025 bike haven't worked. They've gone backwards. In fact, Pedro Acosta now is essentially riding the 24 spec bike with the 25 engine in it, which is sometimes, well, that's what he's having to do. He actually says, I like the feeling on the front of the bike, so I need that feeling from the front. If I don't have that feeling, which he didn't have on the, let's say, the newer spec, then I can't achieve the lap times.
Aldeguer back again, up into second place. I was going to say Brad Binder was 12 seconds slower in an 11-lap sprint than he was when he got to the podium last year.
And I'm going to back that up by saying I've known Brad since he entered this paddock. That, as a rider, he's one of the grittiest, hardest riders I know. There is no quitting Brad Binder. He wouldn't just ride around thinking, well, it doesn't really matter. He never leaves anything out there. So for him to be 12 seconds slower in an 11-lap race is mind-blowing.
There was a gamble, wasn't there, with the soft tyres? We had expected before the weekend, with the stiffer construction of that softer tyre, to be more of an option, but people who went with it just didn't work for them. And they're a bit of a quandary, aren't there, at KTM, because they need the grip, and then when it isn't there, that's when the problems really do surface. But they also struggle in other aspects, like getting the bike into the corner. That's what Pedro Acosta was talking about in the USA, for example.
And you think of the calibre of riders in that team. I mean, the four riders on KTM, the experience across those four riders, it's an incredible lineup. It's an impressive lineup, isn't it? But
yeah, when the only non-MotoGP winner is Pedro Acosta.
The squad, the KTM squad, that really underlines the calibre of the level of the team. So you can't blame the riders. You can't. Of course you can't blame the riders. The riders are incredible.
We'll see if it's different today with the medium tyre in there.
I guess it's sort of, it's probably been my biggest surprise of the season. I just did not expect that at all.
Jorge Martin, top of the timesheets in warm-up, starting to have a go at it in warm-up this morning. Unreal. It will take time. When I chatted to Danny Romagnoli, his crew chief, this morning, he said the fact is that he's got loads of feedback already on the bike. We're going to have to change a lot of things. The bike is still quite raw. It's still got a lot of developing to do.
Yeah, and he's not been able to put his fingerprint on it, has he? Because what happens when they bring out a new bike, you go to the first test and you make big changes early on with a new bike, and the direction of the bike will have gone in favour of Marco Bezzecchi, of course, and that doesn't always. Two teammates often have very different ways of achieving a lap time or different riding styles. So I tell you what, this bodes really well what I'm seeing from Jorge Martin. I thought it was going to be a miserable sort of couple of months really, where he slowly built himself back into it. To be leading this session, I know it's not over, it's not finished just yet, but incredible, impressive.
Johan Zarco pulled in. His comment was, the vibration was that bad, I'm not going to ride around and risk crashing and injuring myself, because that's what it was, that's the situation, and so Zarco pulled in. What's your take on that? Happy enough with that?
I've been in...
Maverick did it last time out?
Yeah, I've been in situations where when you get a vibration from a tyre, it is so violent that you also don't know if the tyre, you don't know. The only way you'd find out is when you've stopped and looked at the tyre. You don't know if it's delaminating. We've seen things in years gone by. It's very rare, but you can't help but think, hang on, is this tyre falling apart? And if it does, is it going to lock solid and throw me over the handlebars? top speeds here at 220 miles an hour. So
he said he couldn't even control the throttle.
No.
It was that bad.
Zarco's not a quitter, is he, as we know.
Aldeguer then through in 7th place. Very tight in terms of times, but good to see Jorge Martin in the mix, isn't it? On board we go with Marc Marquez. Right, Neil, he's on pole. He starts as the huge favourite today. How are they going to stop him?
They're going to have to attack him straight away. And he's, like we mentioned it right at the beginning, his brother looks more comfortable at the start of races. So, but his brother Alex had an opportunity yesterday and he hesitated. Not because it's, I don't think it's because it's Mark. I think it was a wise thing to do at that point in the race, because he's thinking, right, I'll stick behind my brother, we'll get, hopefully pull away from the rest of the pack. The problem is, after 4 laps, Mark get into a rhythm that no one could match, so he's going to have to forget that tactic and just go on the full attack mode from the first corners.
That's possibly also, I don't know whether you agree with me, a confidence thing in terms of he was vastly superior to Morbidelli's pace behind, wasn't he,
yeah.
Alex? And actually, even if he'd attacked, he still had more pace, and maybe that's not something he's that accustomed to.
No, you're right.
In MotoGP. And I know he's had 7 second places in a row, which has got to be going on for some kind of record. Not easy to search for that. Trust me, I've tried. But I was thinking whether Aaron Canet might have done it in the past in Moto2, but no. Yeah, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? Actually, he had vastly superior pace to anybody else, so even by attacking, he'd have been okay.
Exactly, yeah. He had that margin to make a few mistakes that he's still been able to pull away. Also, I think they were well aware that Bagnaia is on the 4th row of the grid. So I'm convinced as brothers they will have chatted to say, let's do nothing silly early on, because Bagnaia's back there. We need to get away from him. And I know obviously they're not teammates, the Marquez brothers, but they're incredibly close, and they will talk like that. Of course they will.
Of course they do. Of course.
Look how low they get now, these bikes. Incredible, isn't it? I'm going to make it my mission to somehow talk Ducati into letting me have a go at starting one of these bikes. I would love to. It's like a box I need to tick.
Yeah. Well, we'll all work on getting that to happen. What if they say, "Oh, we'll do it, but only with Silva"?
Well, they'd be wise to do that. That'd be a clever thing from Ducati.
Well, you wouldn't be able to, no.
Obviously, he's tied to BMW, so you know, I'm just.
Oh yeah, just saying.
So Michael's doing it. As long as they don't let you do it, Gavin.
Well, yeah, well, exactly. None of us would want to see that, would we? Maverick Vinales, second quickest there. Again, he looked good this weekend. He has looked good all weekend, as Maverick always got on with this place. More wins than any of the existing field. Valentino had a few more around here.
So what, big differences with the speed. Now we've got that headwind. I was just looking at the speeds. You've got Nea Bastianini at 350 kilometres an hour, and then right at the bottom you've got basically the Yamahas. You've got Fernandez and Quartararo, and they are 16 kilometres. Is that right? Yeah, 16 kilometres an hour slower.
To put that into
what's that?
Sort of old money, about 217 down to about 205. Wow. Is that right?
No.
I think that's right. Somewhere around that.
Tell you what, it's a lot. Yeah. And unfortunately, why I'm saying it is Quartararo's qualified on the front row of the grid. He didn't look like he was getting. It wasn't too bad for him yesterday, but if that wind continues, it's going to be hard for him in the race.
Yeah, not only then, yeah.
Well, thank you very much to the guys on TNT Sports. We'll be back then. Moto3 will be live on the main JB Motorsports channel. Moto2 with the world feed from TNT will be on at 4 o'clock. And then all the action as well from MotoGP back on the main channel later on. Thanks for your company. We'll see you again soon. Take care and join us for the race later on. Bye-bye.